I'm Susan Bauman, and I'm celebrating my 60th Jubilee. I had an aunt in our congregation whom I visited when I was a kid. Have great memories of going to Winchester to see her. Also, I was taught by CDPs at St. Bernard's School in Dayton. And the sisters were young, they were vibrant, they were wonderful teachers. And there was something about them that attracted me in the way they were and the who they were. The emphasis in my formation was emphasis on the vows and not on poverty, charity, abandonment, and simplicity. But they really speak to me, especially abandonment. I remember my first mission going to Corbin, and it was at night, and we're driving down I-75, and it's very dark. And I remember looking ahead at the road saying, oh my goodness, where am I going? And what am I going to find there? But still there was a sense that that's where I was called to be, and that's where I would do my mission, and that's where God would be with me. When Jesus said, tell them I'm going before them into Galilee. And I have that sense of trust that Jesus, that God is always there wherever I'm going. The moment when I experienced that the strongest was when I was elected General Superior. I knew my limits, and I had somewhat of a sense of the responsibility. Yet at the same time, it was incredible. I had such a sense of peace, knowing that my sisters were calling me to that, and that God would give me what I needed. I can't believe it. Even people said to me, well, you seem so at peace. I said, I am. A real beginning of a change or an awareness happened for me when I went to Appalachia. I discovered the wealth of poverty. I served many people who lived kind of on the fringe, precarity, but there was such an openness, and I learned that the poor accept what they're given. I have a tendency to say, okay, I received that. It's not exactly what I wanted. I would have rather had. And I found among the poor, they accepted when they had, and they accepted when they didn't have. And for me, that's a real sense of poverty that I don't have yet. And then when I had the opportunities to go to Madagascar, I found also great poverty, but great wealth of humanity. I'm grateful for getting to know God, and I really repeat to myself often parts of Psalm 16, saying to God, you it is who hold fast my lot. For me, the measuring lines have fallen on pleasant sites. Fair to me is my inheritance. It all comes from God. For me, it's beautiful. Of course, it's got its ups and downs, but it is, my life is something that I am grateful for. I'm grateful, of course, for my sisters who have tolerated me for 60 years, who have loved me in the easy parts and the more difficult parts. And thanks to them, I have become who I am today. Without them, that would not have happened. I'm grateful to them also for their fidelity to God, to their mission, to the search for God. And I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had to be of service, to give back to my sisters, and to give to others, and to share the talents that God has blessed me with. God doesn't expect of us to carry a burden tomorrow with the grace that he gives us today. And we pray how many times a day, give us this day our daily bread. And for me, that's providence. God gives this day what I need for this day. Can you see God active in your life? And can you trust that for the rest of your life? Because God will be there. I just want to say to the sisters who are watching, thank you.
My name is Sister Elizabeth Wary. I'm better known as Liz, and I've been a Sister of Divine Providence for 60 years. I knew the CDPs from grade school years. I was taught all through grade school by CDPs, and in fact, one of my teachers in second grade had also taught my father in second grade how many years before. So the CDPs have been an important part of my family, of the parish, and there was much love and respect for all the sisters that were there. I had the opportunity to come for a profession ceremony here at the convent, and I just found it beautiful, and that really touched my heart. With the accumulation of life experiences, I can see where Providence has been acting in my life. More than half of my religious life, I was a missionary in Ecuador. And those years were wonderful and difficult. But at one of the missions, especially San Buenaventura, I was in ministry with two more of our CDP sisters. They were French. And the three of us, lived in the parish house. The pastor lived outside of the area. He was really a sacramental minister. We, the three of us, were the parish team, but not by ourselves. We formed a team of people that coalesced. They were servants of the word, servants of the sick, catechists, persons who were very attentive to the needs of the civic needs of the parish. And this group of people, about 20, met one Sunday a month where we would pray together, reflect on the gospel together, evaluate what we've done and what are the present needs and how are we going to plan for this next month. That, to me, was the most alive Christian community that I have ever participated in. The people were committed. We didn't have to have all the plans or the ideas. It was this group of people that really lived with the Spirit in their hearts. I've been gone from there for 25 years. The last that I've heard, some of those people are still involved in their parish doing their ministry. And to me, that I could never ask for anything better than that. I'm most grateful for the support that I have always felt from all of our CDPs. I did not earn a living wage all those years, but I never had to be concerned about what will I eat tomorrow. It was always there. The support was there. To have had that opportunity to be of service to everyone else without being concerned about how am I going to live? I did. It was wonderful. And all of that was God's grace. And as I look back on my life, the mosaic of wonderful experiences that have been mine, and that God has always been present in that, I'm just so grateful and happy with the beautiful work of my life. It's been pure gift for me. Not easy, but pure gift. I made the right decision.
My name is Carolyn Marie Betch, and I have been professed almost 60 years. So I was taught by the Sisters of Divine Providence at Assumption in Mount Healthy. All these sisters were young, enthusiastic, vibrant women. I was attracted to them because of their joyful spirit. In my teaching background, I've been changed 7 times. And each time I was changed, I experienced providence. And that took a lot of trust in providence that God knew that was going to happen. I think, looking back, Bethesda was a life-changing mission. It's where I grew up there. I learned how to downhill ski, I learned to water ski, roller skate, and all the things that nuns usually don't. It was a year that I learned to clean and to pray. One thing I'm grateful for is community. I know community is one of the hallmarks of being a religious, and I appreciate that very much. I've been in very, very supportive communities throughout. And another experience I deeply appreciate was the experience of Madagascar. It was only a month, but I learned so much, and that I took with me when I came back. When I teach, I usually bring in my experience in Madagascar. It was life-changing. I felt like I could always depend on community, the sisters that I lived with. I learned so much from our sisters in community. I learned self-giving from them, I learned trust from them, and generosity from them. So those things I'm grateful for. I've dealt with all kinds of school situations, from the very affluent, where I'm teaching the sons and daughters of senators and congresspeople, or in the mountains, Savannah, and now with the inner city, Covington and St. Augustine. I've had a wide gamut of children that I've worked with. I just know that whether you're very affluent or you're scraping the bottom, you're children of God, and you have something to contribute to our society. God won't let you down, so trust. If a woman was thinking about religious life, I'd share a prayer with them that it starts like this: Providence of my God, I adore you in all your designs. And as you go through that prayer, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's scary, sometimes it's comforting to know that there's a God that loves that much. And so I would say, God won't let you down. Just trust.
My name is Sister Gladys Mackey. I am celebrating 60 years of religious life this summer. Well, in the beginning, I was changed a lot. I worked in the seminaries, and it seemed like every other year I was being changed. Well, and I worked a whole lot at St. Anne Convent. I worked over there in the kitchen, and I worked later on in the Moy Center. But the meaningful mission for me was all those years in New York, because it got me into a different world altogether. I was used to country. There I was in cities, but I learned how to get around the city. I knew the city really well. And another thing that I liked about being in New York was being exposed to all those different nationalities of the women that came to our house. And they were always trying to start their life something. When they first come in, a couple of them, they seemed so young, and they came in as kids. And when they left as women. But when I came down, I had a really hard time. And I know the sisters were worried about me. But a couple sisters got me involved with things, and I got involved at the Carmel Manor, and then I got involved with the St. Vincent de Paul thrift store in Newport. I am still going to Carmel Manor now, and we do trivia. It's really nice, and they look forward to me coming. They really appreciate it. On 9/11, when the World Trade Centers were attacked, and I thought, oh, the towers are gone. And then I realized how many people were gone. And I would go down there a lot. I was just drawn down there, and when I come home, I said, I'm not going down anymore. And something just kept drawing me back to the site of the World Trade Center and all the destruction. And at that time, everybody had little posters about their loved one that was lost. Have you seen so-and-so? Call this number. Call this number. And it just really struck me so much how many people were lost that day. But it really brought New Yorkers, they had a big heart at that time. Everybody had compassion for each other. And it was a beautiful thing to experience, and I think it was because of the event, all the tragedy, it brought people together, and God was in the midst of it. One of my favorite ministries was driving for the Holy Family home. I really got to know a lot of the sisters on a personal level because I would take them to the appointments, and I'd be with them, and sometimes if they'd be nervous, they would talk to me, and I would just listen. I was like their caregiver. I'm most grateful for the gift of perseverance, because there have been times in my life that I doubted my vocation. Then I would say, did I make the right choice? Am I doing the right thing? Am I following the will of God? Our sisters would help me through those periods. They helped me become the woman that I am today in my life. I do phone duty, but when I'm in the phone sometimes, the sisters come in and they need somebody to listen to them. So that's my new role, is I'm the listener, and I am a good listener. I know how important it is to me to have someone listen to me and someone to care. I guess it's sort of like a miracle, or it is a miracle. And even my doctor said that I was a walking miracle because I beat the cancer. Well, it kind of like puts a responsibility on you to keep going forward. Keep being positive. And whatever comes on, you'll get through it again. In your prayer, you got to keep at it. You got to be constant with it, be faithful to it, and that really helps you too. Prayer, having a relationship with God, and knowing that He's taking care of you, and He's never going to desert you. He's always there. Like the sunflower that seeks out the sun, that's how we seek out God. But we don't really have to seek Him because He's there.
Well, I have a kind of unique background. I have two great aunts, Sister Clementine and Sister Theophane. I have my own sister, Sister Alice Marie, who's been a CDP for 67 years. So I have that in my background. So that was a big influence in my younger years. When I went to Solomon's, Maryland, I went there with an unplanned ministry, and I felt very uncomfortable doing that. But when I got to Solomon's, the people in Solomon's taught me the ministry of presence. And within a few weeks, I began to understand why I was living there. People would come and ask to take a walk. With not having any ministry, I could get involved in all kinds of other little things that nobody ever knew about. And so I treasure those years. When I was at Solomon's, I learned different things. I guess I became aware of God bumps when people would ask me to do stuff, and I would respond. And then at the end of the day, I would have little goosebumps knowing that the God's presence was among the people that I was right there with. The parable of the Good Samaritan became very close to me for a while. And the reason I like that gospel is because the Lord sends you help where you least expect it. And I just pray that I can be that Good Samaritan so other people can experience that love and joy. For many years, I worked with the elderly. Serving the elderly in nursing homes, I met many people when they were at the crossroads of their lives. And the presence that I could give to them was rewarding for them. I remember I learned the lesson when I worked there, because the issue I don't want to deal with, those are the issues I need to be the most concerned about. The thing I fight the hardest are the things I need to do the most. One of the Sisters of Charity asked me to take her from Mother Margaret Hall in a wheelchair over to the Mother House Chapel. That's a long walk. So we get up the middle aisle of the chapel. She stops the wheelchair forcefully with her hands and just said, "Listen." She was saying, "Well, Jesus doesn't look so far away from us now, does he?" And I think how true that is as we age and as whatever happens in our life, when we pause, Jesus doesn't look so far away from us now, does he? I have been lucky to have some very devoted friends, CDP-wise, who have helped me, encouraged me to become a CDP. I believe we're at a time in our lives when we are slowing down, and so we need to relate to each other in a different way and be a lot more gentler with myself and with each other. As I reflect back on all these last 60 years, I realize that the fabric of my life has many different colors, lengths, and widths as it all comes together to form one design that's still developing. And there have been times in life when life has been difficult, and I think these are the times that I personally had to learn or wanted to learn the faithfulness of God's love, and I am grateful for all the people that have been in my life. I want to personally thank each one of them, because I know I wouldn't be who I am without them. We all struggle with it, to be open to divine providence, to even know what it is, because providence speaks to us in so many different ways. So it's just a matter of being patient and trust in the Lord's knowledge and goodness. I can only say that I know in my life I have been challenged to be amazing. I think it's important to say that.
My name is Sister Mary Carol Hengler, and I am celebrating my 60th Jubilee as a Sister of Divine Providence. I think what drew me to the Sisters of Divine Providence, they were first of all in the parish where I grew up, and I met them when I was about 3 and a half, and my father was a milkman, and he would toot as he passed our driveway, and he would stop and let me go up when he delivered milk to the sisters' house. And there I met Sister Mary Alice Stein, who was usually hanging out laundry. And she always welcomed me, and I still can feel, just putting my arms around her and, just being so welcomed and so happy. Those sisters had something very special, the charism of providence, but also I think a certain charism of being happy together. After retiring from Villa Madonna and from 48 years of high school teaching, I was often asked to come back to sub. And 2 years ago, one of the juniors said to me, "Can I ask you a Catholic question?" And he said, "I would like to become a Catholic, and I'm not quite sure how to do that." And I think that is a providential moment. I mean, it really felt a grace moment for me. I am most grateful for the marvelous companions in the song. You've given marvelous companions to me. Also, I guess I consider the earth around here a companion. The beautiful country grounds, certainly make my soul swell with gratitude and beauty. Another thing I'm grateful for is the opportunity to live into the prayerfulness of the sisters. I'm really grateful for my education. I loved going to school. In seeing graduates from OLP, Lexington, Villa, unfold to become deeply good and kind people, that service has become a way of life. I love hearing their tales, their stories of parish ministry, teaching, but especially I'm happy to see that they are good parents. And, and I'm deeply grateful for just the small part I have played in their part of their lives. Trusting in divine providence is not a blind, leave it to God attitude. That there has to be some dynamism going on between me and God. And I think it's a dynamism that puts a trust in taking the next step and then the next one after that. And I think it's being ready to open the door and being surprised by joy.
Well, the Sisters of Divine Providence, I had a great aunt and 2 cousins that were Sisters of Divine Providence. And we would come out on Sundays when they were here to visit them. And I used to say, I'm going to be a sister when I get older. And I did. Well, basically, the biggest thing I think is trusting God, and that God will guide you no matter what. And when I was a social worker with hospice and palliative care, and I would meet with patients that were dying, and in particular, I was meeting with this one doctor, and I thought, what in the world will I say or do meeting with a doctor? But I met with him, and we talked about dying, and we talked about afterlife, and he didn't live much longer after that. And I always thought, I prayed to Bert. Bert was his name, and I prayed to him because I think he probably went straight to heaven. I think I'm most grateful for the fact that no matter what I did, I knew God would guide me. And I believe that played out in many ways when I was working, especially in hospice, but also in marriage and family counseling. When I would be with a couple and didn't know exactly what to do, I would come up with something that guided me, and it worked wonders with the couple. So I think God was always with me. Well, I was appointed administrator, and I was living in community, of course. at the time, and I was able to share with the sisters that I lived with some of my concerns, even in accepting a position like that, working with the sisters. But they supported me, and they said that I would do a good job. And so I listened to them and prayed, and I accepted the position, and I was administrator for a while. I taught the primary grades. I taught Teresa Falkenstein. I used to come after school and do my blackboards. I enjoyed teaching. I enjoyed the children. I did not like the confinement of the classroom. I felt like I was hemmed in. So when I got the chance to move on into something else where I wouldn't be in one room all day long, I asked to study and become a counselor with the activities of the Holy Family. Believe it or not, I left 2 times. And somehow God guided me back.